Basically like the big brother, little brother, backyard brawl. So it's, I'm excited and I'm ready for it.
Who's the big brother?
We the big brother.
Hello, and welcome to my weekly video log. I'm Kurt. I do these from my home, updating you fine folks out there about all things related to fishduck.com and the world of Oregon sports. Each week we may go into things that are a tad off topic, as this is rather free form, and I will also include a weekly music recommendation every week. So it was a big week in the world of Oregon Duck sports, both good and bad. Good was Oregon clinching the first ever Pac-12 title and back-to-back-to-back conference championships, which we can only hope is at least on par with Coach Amansky's back-to-back-to-back AAU national championships.
That have produced baseball world's back-to-back-to-back AAU national championship.
Fred McGriff approves. The not so good was that the women's volleyball team lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament, dropping their opening match to Colorado State 3-2. That ended their year, though it was another fantastic season under Coach Moore. The Ducks finished 13th in the country, and they defeated Penn State in Happy Valley to open the season. That ended the second longest home winning streak in the history of the NCAA in any sport. So that's a pretty cool thing to be able to say. It was a big deal, and further proof that it was really not a good year to be a Penn State Nittany Lion. Also not good is the attrition taking place in both football and basketball right now. Coach Altman seems to have the program going in the right direction, I think, if only he could recruit kids who wanted to stay in school. Brown and Barron both decided to leave the team, and that once again leaves Coach Altman with a smaller bench to select from. It's not as bad as last year when Coach Altman actually had to have open tryouts just so that they had a big enough roster to be able to have 5-on-5 practices, but it's not good to lose two key players so quickly. Now, despite losing players, the Ducks have started out okay. They had a nice win over Nebraska and Lincoln, and unfortunately they lost kind of ugly to BYU. They are currently 6-2 with losses to Vanderbilt and BYU. Up next for the Ducks is Fresno State on Saturday at Matt Knight Arena. So go support the team since there will be no Saturday football to watch. And of course, the big news from the Oregon football team was the dismissal of Cliff Harris. Uncle Cliffy Woo Cash Nacho Harris indeed did smoke it all. And when he was done locking shit down in Eugene, he headed back to Fresno to find more to smoke it all. Got caught, and Chip had finally had enough. We hadn't seen Cliff since his bizarre safety in the Colorado game. He was on indefinite suspension for violation of team rules, and I guess he had more team rules that he violated because now he's no longer a part of the team. Now, I remember 3 years ago when Cliff signed with Oregon. Recruitniks such as myself were really ecstatic to get such a talented corner coming to Eugene. But based on his background and the stories that we heard, many questioned that it would be when, not if, he got kicked off the team for his actions. Well, now we know. 3 years is how long it took. So whoever had that in the betting pool, congratulations, you win. Still, I don't have any hard feelings whatsoever for Cliff. I'm sad that his collegiate career ends with a whimper after making so many great plays the last 2 years. I'm disappointed that he couldn't drive better, but I appreciate all that he did as a Duck. So long, Uncle Cliffy Woo Cash Nacho Harris, and thanks for all the picks. Now, I give it about a 99% chance that he goes to the NFL Combine rather than try to connect with another school. And I wish him well in his professional pursuits. He may go undrafted or maybe be a late-round pick because of these so-called character issues that caused LeGarrette Blount to be undrafted. But based on LeGarrette's production of late. I think a lot of teams are kicking themselves that they didn't draft him. I think a lot could be said about Cliff Harris when he starts returning punts in the NFL. With his return skills, it's really only a matter of time before a team takes a chance on him. Getting back to the good of this week, there was the obvious. Oregon very predictably steamrolled over UCLA to win the first ever Pac-12 championship game and are now Rose Bowl bound to play against Wisconsin. This is particularly awesome for me because the Rose Bowl is only about 20 minutes that way, so it makes the commute super easy. The game was a rather nonchalant victory. The last couple games have really been nonchalant victories. I commend UCLA for playing very tough, about as well as they could in reality, but they didn't have anywhere near the talent to stack up against Oregon. Their defense played well, and they got lucky on a deflected pick six and used a trick play to keep the score close for a little while, but they had no way to stop the Michael, who rolled for over 200 yards, and that was that. As for what's going on with fishduck.com, we have had some great responses from people interested in sponsorships of our content. Charles asked for that in his last video, and we continue to gain more ringing endorsements. It's particularly awesome to hear from former players who love our content. I guess it means we're doing something right if they think that we know what we're talking about. Lodi Nada linked fishduck.com on his website, and Jeff Schwartz had high praise as well. Now, my article this week went into deep detail about the Oklahoma trilogy. The games that the Ducks played against Oklahoma between 2004 through 2006. As so much has been written and said about that 2006 game, almost all of it wrong, by the way, I felt the need to really dissect what actually happened that day. I spoke with Brent Haberly, Blair Phillips, and Jeff Schwartz about it, and I thank them profusely for their insight. It had to be split into a two-part story, but if you have the time, please do check it out on fishduck.com and learn a few things you may not have known about the Oklahoma games. Charles put out his weekly video earlier this week analyzing the championship game, but now that there's only one more game to go, we will be slowing down a little bit on the football video analysis. But fear not, we are not going away. We will continue to have videos from both Charles and Josh on about a weekly basis during the off season, and I will continue to do these videos as well. And we are also looking into giving basketball a bit of the fish duck treatment. So keep checking back. Oh, and then there's that upcoming game, the Rose Bowl. Oregon sold out of their allotment of tickets very quickly. But if you plan on coming down here to Los Angeles, don't worry, there should still be plenty of opportunities to get a ticket. Wisconsin is a difficult matchup that should make for a great game, but we'll have plenty of time to go into detail about the Ducky versus Bucky matchup a little bit later. And now, my random tweet of the week.
Hey, will you shut up?
Thank you.
My music pick for this week is Doomtree. Now, if you watched the very first episode of this video log, you heard me talk about a side project from two members of Doomtree that they called Wugazi. It was a mashup album of Wu-Tang and Fugazi that they offered up for free. It is fitting, as Doomtree in a lot of ways is very similar to what Wu-Tang Clan was in the 90s. Doomtree is the modern indie underground Minnesota equivalent of what Wu-Tang Clan was. They're a collective of MCs and producers that primarily do their own solo projects, but now and then they come together to collaborate as one ridiculously talented entity, and they're always guesting on each other's various projects. They just released a new album back on November 22nd titled No Kings. The group is 9 unique, talented members, all with their own distinct styles. Of these, the two most recognizable members are P.O.S, who he has a separate solo deal with Rhymesayers, and he's the former drummer from the band Cadillac Blindside. And then Dessa. Dessa is the only female member of the group whose half-half rap and singing vocal delivery and incredibly poetic, intelligent lyrical content puts her at the upper echelon of female MCs today, if not all time. Now, if you're a fan of indie hip-hop music that gets a little more artistic and experimental than your typical top 40 dance club hit, then you really can't go wrong with any of the Doomtree solo projects or their group records. Here's the first single off the new Doomtree album that was just released. The song's called Bolt Cutter.
And your trinket, isn't it? Save your voice, I know the story. Man abandoned, sinking ship. I heard you did your dissertation on the rise and fall of man. Said the golden era is over, but we'll rise and fall again. We lost some ground, we lost some time, man, look alive, we lost enough. Yeah, look around, we're binders, now clean that shit up, you're losing blood. This ain't Kansas, show of hands if you said your prayers, now put them down if you got answers. This place, it takes the faith of a man.
She wants to spend the night in graveyards, loves fair plays hard. But that's for keeps, yeah, that's for keeps. She'll break my skin with the needle, break my hand in the face, that ever questions are equal. Yeah, that's for creeps, there ain't no ground when I'm looking. I'm climbing twisting stairs, it's funny cause I'm so high, I'm more twisted. Then when I see her running, we're going up to the top. She wants to see our city dripping in electric pedals. It's crazy but kinda pretty. Told me watch your step, follow close. Fuck it if we get caught, strongest links in the chain. All the first to get cut, together till we all fade. Keep the blade in the gut, they keep us in a cage too long. The fact they care about us. My girl gave me a bolt cutter, he loves to break it. Claim all the spaces, they forgot they had taken. And all this is ours, it's gonna be when we make it. If only the stars were close enough, we would paint them. She gave me a bolt cutter, he loves to break it. Claim all the spaces, they forgot they had taken. And all this is ours, it's gonna be when we make it. If only the stars were close enough, we would paint them. Yeah. The signs of something easily forgotten clearly. And time is not my problem, she reminds me nearly hourly. I notice till I don't. All rules respected less with every step, neglecting lessons about trespass. Passing old plans, lost to the rent, laugh till we sick, passing a twist. So savage we nag at your standards and spit with a generally messed up view. Says who?
So that does it for me this week. Go check out Doomtree's music if you like what you heard here. I particularly like Dessa's solo album, A Badly Broken Code. And cheer on the men's basketball team this Saturday as they face off against Fresno State inside the mat. As always, come back to fishduck.com daily. We'll have new articles on a daily basis and our various videos. And be on the lookout for a bunch of new features we plan to roll out very soon. Until next time, this is Kurt saying, Go Ducks.